Hello everyone, my name is Jaemin Lee. I just finished my finance PhD from Emory University, Goes Out of Business School in the USA. It's been about 5 months since I've been here, and I really liked the vibrant energy of the city and very friendly atmosphere of the people. And I'm really happy to be here. My main research area is behavioral and social finance. So basically it studies whether investors' social values or their interaction with the other investors, basically the social interactions, affects how does those social values and social interactions affect their investors' behaviors, and also how does such their behaviors that stems from the social values and interactions affects the aggregate financial markets. So let me give you an example. So if you want to invest your money in the, for example, stock market, you may choose stocks that aligns with your social values. So if you're interested in ESGs, or if you're worried about the climate in the future, you may invest in stocks that have that helps the climates, or that have relatively good ESG scores. So that's driven by your social values. Or you may invest in stocks that your friends tells you that it will go up in the future, it will do well in the future. So those are driven by the social interactions. Now these questions have relatively been well answered in the past. What I'm more interested is how such investor behaviors driven by social values or social interactions affects the aggregate financial markets. For example, does it affect the asset prices? And those are part of my more important and key questions that I have. So that's also a pretty interesting question. So I've always been interested in why investors, including myself, sometimes make irrational decisions. So I also, before I began my PhD journey, I also tend to invest in stocks. And when the stock's price goes down, I was inclined not to sell it. So I basically hold on to stocks that I've been losing for a while. I've also invested in stocks that I didn't know well about, but I bought it because my friends bought it. So that's also, I know rationally that I shouldn't be doing that, but I was doing such behaviors. And when I began my PhD, I learned that there's a big area in finance called behavioral finance. So it basically tries to answer why investors make certain decisions that cannot be explained by a rational traditional finance theories. And as I learned more about the behavioral finance, I learned that behavioral finance usually tries to answer the irrational behaviors of the investors based on psychological traits. So as I learned more about the behavioral finance, I learned that not only the psychological traits matter, but also social values and social interactions matter a lot. So that's how I began my journey as a PhD. That's also a very good question. I've briefly explained this in the previous question, but we already know pretty well how the social values or social interactions affects the investors' behavior themselves. So for example, we know that investors who have a strong belief about the climate change, they are less likely to invest or buy houses that are exposed to these climate changes. Similarly, we know that investors are more likely to buy houses if their friends' houses have experienced the price increase. So we know how those social interactions or social values affects the investors' behaviors, but we have very little understanding of how those social aspects collectively affect the financial markets. So if the investors have a certain belief or social collective social values, does that affect the asset prices in the market? We have very limited understanding of that. So there's I think there's two reasons. The first reason is that it's hard to measure the very small social values or social interaction effects that adds up into a big effect that can affect the financial markets. So if you think about it, a little drop of water, we have to be able to measure those little droplets of water that aggregate into a big bucket of water to have a specific effect on the asset prices or the asset market. So the measurement issue of those social effects are one of the difficulties. The second is, this is a very general problem in the social science. There's many confounding factors that also affect the financial markets. So if we want to show that this social effect affects the financial markets, but it's hard to distinguish that from many other things that can also affect the financial markets. So we call these endogeneity problems. So those two endogeneity problems and the question of measuring the social effects are, I would say, the two biggest difficulties in answering these questions, how the social aspects affects the financial markets. So in one of my research, I try to answer these questions. There's two answers to that. The first answer is China's economy has grown a lot during the last several decades. And as a financial researcher, it's a great opportunity to study how such developing economic superpower can affect the global economy. So that's one of the reasons that I chose to be in China. The second reason is CUHK-Shenzhen has a very high expectation or requirements for the research. So they have amazing research supports for the faculties. So as a person who is beginning his career in academia, I believe this is one of the best places you can be to begin your academic career. So I'll start off. The reason that I did my master's in Korea is because I wanted to experience if I was suited or I liked doing the academic research. So I learned that I was well suited and I really enjoyed doing the academic research, which is why I began my PhD study in the USA. Now, the biggest difference compared to Korea and USA wasn't the content of the learning content itself. It was more of an attitude you have towards the academic contents. So unlike Korea, I think it's kind of changed over the years, but when I first went to the USA, the biggest difference that I had was you had to be really aggressive. So I'm not saying that you have to fight people, but you have to interact a lot. You have to provide your opinions much more. You have to ask questions if you're not clear with anything. If you have any academic questions, you have to approach the faculties and teachers. And that was something that I had a relatively difficult time adjusting to that, coming with that attitude. And you can't really just receive what teacher teaches. You have to approach them with your own thoughts and questions. So eventually I was able to do that, and I learned that that's much more effective way, especially in academia, to have your own thoughts, have your own disciplines. And that's something that I had a hard time, but eventually adjusted and understood that it was really helpful for your growth. So this is more of a personal experience, based on the personal experience. But I highly advise students to spend more time with the international faculties or with the international students outside the classrooms. This is because a lot of your opportunities when you start your graduate studies in outside China, it depends a lot on your relationship with the other faculties or other people. And a lot of career opportunities can open up when you develop a personal relationship with the others. What I've learned during my PhD studies abroad is having a good academic English is very different from having a very good daily conversational English. And you need to spend some time developing those skills in order to build up a good relationship with the others. So spend a lot of time having small talks with the international students, sharing your thoughts, your values, your emotions, and so on, your daily lives. So that's something that I would highly recommend for the students. So I think you have amazing opportunity of being here in CUHK-Shenzhen. So make the most opportunity out of it. Be more aggressive, approaching to the faculties and teachers. Ask questions, exchange your thoughts. Our faculties or teachers are more than happy to spend time with the students. So be more aggressive, make the most out of this opportunity, and good luck on your future careers.